They say stepping outside of your comfort zone is a lot like pulling teeth. Painful, uncomfortable, sometimes terrifying, but always for the better. Necessary to make room for something else. For growth. Now, I've never been one for roughing it, but with so many changes facing me at the end of the summer, I knew I had to do something drastic. Something that would shake me to my very core. Something like moving an hour away from home to the middle of nowhere, Nebraska to be ravaged by horseflies and spider bites, work from sunup to sundown, and ultimately learn a lesson. And what was that lesson? I guess you'll just have to stick around to find out. This summer, I've tried my best to stay consistent in keeping a journal, and I wanted to share with you a diary entry I wrote the night before I left to camp. It goes, I don't really know what to expect, but I've packed for what seems like every and all eventualities, and a bag chock full of books to boot, in true Jaslyn fashion. Sleep will probably be more of a time-killing play-acting bit than anything else tonight, but when my alarm finally rings, I get to wake up, in every sense of the phrase. So, here's to courage, to adventure, to kindred spirits, and to the echoing call of the wild, luring me into its verdant and terrifyingly wonderful embrace. I have a confession to make. Oftentimes, I tend to put myself through wildly unnecessary situations purely for the aesthetic. It's half of the reason I started this YouTube channel. I change certain things to look better on film, and in the end, I wind up discovering something new about myself, or the world around me. I meet people that change my point of view. I end up seeing everyday things I've often overlooked in a whole different light. I find a new glimmer, and ultimately, my heart makes room for something new to love. But that change doesn't happen overnight. And often, it can be very hard to get there. One of the biggest lessons I learned at camp was that of perspective. After a week of hard work, I went back home and I wrote this. With an hour's distance and a massive hour's repose later, I have attained the gift of perspective. Yes, camp is hard. But the truth is, I really want to go back. I want to find out how this story turns out. I want to see if I finally decide to start living as a human, an active participant, and not just an observer. I want to be brave. To give you a bit more of an idea as to how out of place I was, let me put it in these terms. I forgot to read the fine print. I am not a scout, and up until this summer, all I knew about them was that they knew how to tie knots. And then, like cannonballing turned faceplant straight into a vat of ice water, I was in the middle of a camp where it was an oddity to not have their background. Needless to say, it took me a moment to get my sea legs. When I found out I was hired for the job at camp, one of my first inclinations was to immediately rewatch the first 2 seasons of Disney Channel's Bunked. You know, the one with the theme song that goes, "This is our home away from home." Yeah, that didn't apply to me at first. I'd never been to a flag ceremony. I didn't know the Scout oath and law. I wasn't the proud owner of Class A's decked out in dozens of merit badges. I couldn't start a fire for the life of me, and I was terrified of saying the wrong thing. But that was kind of the whole point of coming here in the first place, wasn't it? To be so incredibly uncomfortable and out of place that I had to learn how to adapt. One of the bright sides of being thrown into a whole new environment, though, is that whole not knowing bit. There are so many new things to learn. I learned how to play Gaga Ball and BS, how to safely play with fire, and all about Scouts' knife collections and campers' love for slushies. I gained countless party tricks and a vast repertoire of riddles. And most of all, I learned how to be more sociable. As cheesy as it sounds, I learned how to love people better. Some days at camp were better than others, and I want you to keep in mind that I really only show the highlights. The lows were low, and honestly, most of the time I found myself breaking down at least twice a week. But this has to be one of my favorite highs. This entire day had been a roller coaster when I sat down to journal. I honestly wasn't really feeling like myself. But then, my group was given the opportunity to do something amazing. Let's just say, I've always wanted to fly. Video. Oh my god. And then came opening campfire. And I absolutely loved it. The skits were hilarious. The audience was engaged and laughing. The air was crisp and fresh and smelt faintly of lake water, drowned by the smoke scent of the 2 fires on the stage of the amphitheater. When we danced, our energy was electric. And for a moment there, we shone brighter than any flame. We bid them sleep with the scout lullaby. It was nothing short of magical. The dying embers, the soft rustle of wind in the woods, the glow of the stadium lights, and the glint of mischief in the staff eyes. And little by little, piece by piece, I felt myself falling into place. Falling into a new place to call home.
It's halfway done when there's vegetation.
June 21st, 9:35 a.m. I've been thinking a lot about what camp has done for me. Sure, it took me a second to get my bearings straight, but I can feel the grandest effects on me now. This morning was all golden sunlight, soft piano, and hugging my mother extra tight as she left for work. It's been tidying the house, reading cozy hometown summer books, and feeling the most genuine urge I've ever felt to hang out with friends. That was a diary entry from one of my weekends home. And when I wrote that, it was in that moment that I knew camp had changed me, and I was so much better off because of it. So, what exactly was that huge lesson? Did I find my home away from home? I guess in a sense I did. But the lesson didn't really hit home until something quite unfortunate happened. I won't share what exactly, but let's just say it was enough to make me want to go straight back home. When I got the unfortunate news, I ran into Julia on the way back to the dining hall, and she let me sob and tell her everything. She hugged me and was so soothing, and I love her so much for it. Then I went straight into the dining hall to the back of the kitchen and broke down in front of my sister. I asked her if she'd be willing to drive me back that night, and this is where her true colors shone. She dropped everything, mid-shift, and told her boss we had to go. She was taking me home right then and there. I almost sobbed again in relief. When we got back home, I explained the situation to my mother, and just like my sister, she dropped everything to help me. Bottom line, family, like the one I was blessed with, is so much more important and dependable than I realized. It's the people in our lives that are our home. And when you figure that out, home is everywhere. And you can face any adventure that comes your way together.